Autofill in Excel is a massive time-saving feature. What I've done is created a new workbook, and I've deleted sheets 2 and 3, and I've simply renamed sheet 1 Fill, as you can see here. In the cell A1, I'd like to start showing you how autofill works by typing the name of a day. It can be any day at all, but I'm just going to go with Monday. Once I press enter and I'm sitting on Monday, in the lower right corner of Monday is a little wee knob, and if you place your mouse on it, your mouse will change from a big white cross, as you see here, to a thin black cross. If you then drag this fill series mouse pointer down to say row 10, you'll see that you get a series of days. If Wednesday doesn't quite fit, then simply place your mouse on the line between column letters A and B and double click for a best fit. Autofill is the thin black cross that appears in the bottom right corner of a cell. When you drag the thin black cross, you are asking Excel to automatically fill the cells based on what you've typed. And because I've typed the full name of a day, it then gives me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I dragged down, but in fact autofill will work in all 4 directions, up, down, left and right. For example, if I drag the thin black cross to the right, I'll be creating names of days across the column headings, and then I'll just go undo. Not only does it understand the full version of a day, but it also understands the short version of a day. For example, in B1, I might type wed. If I then double click this time instead of dragging, it will fill down the short version of a day down to row 10. It basically goes down the distance of the longest column, and because there's only one column that's filled in down to row 10, it goes down to row 10. I'll then double click the line between B and C to best fit the width of the column. So Excel's autofill understands the short and long version of a day. It also understands the short and long version of a month. So I could type January or Jan, and I could type any month I wanted to. I could drag in all 4 directions, but I'm just going to double click the thin black cross and fill the months down, and then double click the line between C and D for a best fit. And it understands months as well as days. Not only can you use the short and long version of a month, but you can also work with dates. For example, if I put 25/2/16, 25th of February 2016, and I double click the thin black cross, it will fill down dates. And more importantly, it remembers things that we have a tendency to forget, such as leap years. 2016 was a leap year, so it's given me 29 days of February. So if I went to E1 and I put the 25th of the 2nd, 17, double click the thin black cross, it only gives me 28 days of February in the year 2017. So it understands days, it understands months, and it understands dates. The other thing that's important is sometimes we want it to force a series to increment or force a series not to increment. For example, let's start with a series that we want to increment, but we want it to increment by, say, 5. I might start with the year 2017, and I want every 5 years after 2017. So the next one is 2022. I'll highlight these 2 years, and I'll double click or I'll drag. In this case, I'll double click. And what it's done is followed the pattern. Because I highlighted the 2 cells and not just one, I was implying to Excel that there was a pattern between the 2 cells that I wanted continued. And that pattern was a difference of 5. And so each of these is a difference of 5. For example, I might give it 2 dates. Perhaps I want the 5th of the 1st, 2017. 2 weeks later would be the 19th of the 1st, 2017. And this time I'll highlight the 2 of them to imply a difference of 14 days, but I'll drag it and I'll keep an eye on the little pop out to the right hand side of my mouse pointer. I'm looking for the last date in 2017. Now I've gone past it, just don't let go, just reverse. And once you find the last date in 2017, which for me is the 21st of the 12th, then I'll let go. And all of those dates have a difference of 14 days. So when you want to force a series to increment, give it 2. Sometimes it does it automatically, as in the case of days and months and dates, but sometimes it doesn't do it automatically. So you give it 2 and it will continue the pattern as far as you drag it down. For example, another one might be just the number 1. Now, I type the number 1, and because of its close proximity to this date, it thinks I want a date, and it shows that it's formatted as a date here. Well, I don't want it to be a date, so I'll put it back to general, which is the default. Now this is the number 1. Now if I fill this down, I'm expecting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I double click, and it doesn't. It gives me 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So that's when I have to force it to increment. So I'll go undo, and underneath the 1, I'll put a 2. It wants to show it as a date. I change that to general. I highlight the 2 of them, and it's a difference of 1, and I double click or drag the thin black cross, and then it starts to give me 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I force it to increment when it didn't want to. Or sometimes, like in the case of Monday we did earlier, if I type Monday and I double click or drag, of course it's going to increment, and I don't want it to. So again, we give it 2. Control apostrophe is a shortcut key to repeat what's above. So now I've given it 2 Mondays, and if I highlight the 2 of them and fill that down, then the pattern I want it to follow is not to increment. So you can give it 1 entry and fill it down and see what it does. If it doesn't quite increment and you want it to, or it does increment and you don't want it to, give it 2 and fill it down, and you might be nicely surprised. Now also, when you fill things down, you may have noticed that there's a little wee autofill options button. Let me just show you. If I was to go the 20, let's go the 1st of the 1st, 2017. Let's double click and fill that down. And I have to best fit the column width. So let's just fill that down again. As soon as you fill it down, and you may have to fill it down again, you'll trigger this to appear. Now if I click this, I get options. For example, at the moment it's filling days, and if I choose fill days, you'll see there's really no difference. But if I ask it to fill weekdays, then you'll find it will skip the 7th and the 8th must be a Saturday and Sunday, and over here the 14th and 15th must be a Saturday and Sunday. And in fact, let's do this. Let's change the date format to a long date. Let's click on J1, the first one, and fill it down again. Let's go for this autofill options, and let's have a look at this again now that we can actually format it as a long date and see what's going on. Fill days means Monday to Sunday, Sunday to Sunday. Fill weekdays means that we've lost the weekends, except for the first date, which is the one I started with. So that's interesting. But you've lost your weekends. If I then turn around and say fill months, then I get the 1st of each month. Because I started with the 1st of January, I fill the months. If I go fill the years, then I get the 1st of January for each year. So it's just really interesting looking at the options that you get listed here. You can fill the formatting only and no content, or you can fill it down but with no formatting. And I'm going to go back to fill days. So the fill options can be very, very interesting. Now the other thing you can do is you can actually create what they call a custom fill. And I have a custom fill, a series of names that I want to use for a number of exercises later on in later videos. So let's set them up now. I'm going to type the word name, and then under that I've just tried to think of some really short names. Alright, so we've got these names. Now what we do is we highlight the word name and the names underneath it all the way down to Mary. Then we go to File in the ribbon and down to Options. Then we go to Advanced on the left hand side and we scroll right to the bottom. Here you'll find a button called Edit Custom Lists. And what I want to do is I want to import that list I've got selected in the background. And so it's imported them, and what you see is you actually see here with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, January, February, March, you can now see we've got name, Sue, John. So it's imported K1 to K10 into Excel for us to use in the same way as we use Monday and the same way we use January. So let's go OK and OK again, and let's test it. So if I go to L1 and I type name and I drag the thin black cross, you can even see them popping out. I will get those names. So any sheet, any file, any time, if I type the word name and pull the thin black cross, I will get those names and I won't have to type them again. So the whole idea of a custom autofill is we have lists that are unique to us. A list of special dates, a list of products, a list of departments, a list of zones, a list of forests, a list of products, a list of people, anything that you work with regularly and you think, oh, I'm tired of typing this list or trying to copy and paste it from somewhere else. Build it into Excel so that you never have to type that list again. And we'll be using those lists of names when we come to do some of the formulas and functions exercises.